Well, hello, everybody. This is Scott Roberts from Explore Scientific and the Explore Alliance, and I'm here with, I've got Annie Scarbrough from the Explore Alliance, Kent Marts, who is going to be giving his presentation on FirstLight Chronicles, and Cameron Gillis in his 10th episode of Camstronomy. So we were, Cameron and I were on yet again, really late into the night, but we were having great conversations and everything. And Cameron had given us a tease of some of the really great images that he has, and he promised to hold some of it back for this program, so we'll be looking forward to that. Our first the first part of this program is just to kind of give all Explore Alliance members that are watching right now just kind of an update of where we are with member benefits and events and things that we're, just in general, what we're doing with Explore Alliance. So it really is, honest to God, something we work with every day, and it's not just I don't know how to say it, a puppet or a puff piece or something like that. We actually are constantly thinking about ways to create more member benefits, working on special events that we're doing. Kent and I can talk a little bit about that later on today, as far as one of the sites that we scouted. So we'll talk about that. But Annie's got several things she's going to cover this morning. Or not this morning, this afternoon. It's still morning for me, folks. Okay, and so Annie, I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right. Hey, everybody. So I just want to first I want to talk about the Astrophotography Contest that we have going on. It runs through August 15th. So it's mainly, but it is only galaxies. So make sure that you get those pictures submitted. You only get 2 entries. And so we're going to start promoting that a little bit more. Like I said, it runs through August 15th. Anybody that has a PMC-8 will be getting a survey. We're going to try to see where everybody's at with that, if they've updated their software and what's going on, if they need any help or assistance. We have,
for those of you that don't know what a PMC-8 is, it is our computerized robotic go-to technology for telescopes, and we have several models of PMC-8 type mounts, but there's a whole community wrapped around it, and but for those of you that have PMC-8, you know what Annie's talking about.
Yeah, and so we've got quite a few members and customers that own them, and so it's a pretty amazing mount, especially for astrophotography. We have some pretty amazing events coming up. First off, the next I don't even know how to put it. The next show that's not really on our regular schedule that's coming up is 7 Months of Science. We're doing that. I think it's once a month, right, Scott?
Yeah, and there's one tonight with Dr. Abel Mendez. And Abel Mendez is, he worked for a long time at Arecibo Observatory that recently, imploded on itself. But he's going to be on the show. He's way into astrobiology and really a gifted speaker. So that's Caitlin Aaron's special guest tonight. Yeah. That will be at 7 Central. So
yeah. And then the next big event on our list is the Astronomical League conference. It's going to be August 19th through the 21st. And so you can go to our website and sign up for that and join it. And so it's going to be a pretty amazing event.
I'll give them a login exactly where it is.
Okay. And then we've started looking at next year. I can't believe it already. So we've started talking about Arizona Dark Sky Party. It's going to be next year sometime. We haven't actually scheduled it. It is the where you can purchase tickets to it is up and running on our website. We've still got some things to talk about, what we need to do with them.
You talked about the Arizona Dark Sky Star Party.
Yeah. So
there's still, we have to work out all the fees and stuff. Mm-hmm. When we do these kinds of events, we don't really look at making a profit on them. We put them together to give our members a rare experience, and for some people, it's a once in a lifetime experience. So, to be able to go out and actually observe directly with David Levy and, have some of the tours that we put together and all the rest of it, it's really cool for the Arizona Dark Sky Star Party. That's held each year. Well, this would be our second year because of the pandemic. We didn't have a second year, but it is Kartchner Caverns is amazing. It is absolutely amazing, and so part of that whole event would be to go into these pristine caverns and stuff, and they're beautiful and just huge, So.
Yeah, you get those that special tour to be able to do that and stuff, and so we're gonna set the pricing and get that all set up, and so be looking for that. Our members are gonna get something special for that, so just be looking for that, and we can definitely help you out. And then the last thing is I had a member call me asking me for their gift certificate, and so I kind of have fallen short a little bit because the sticker making process that I needed to send out
this sticker
took a little longer.
This thing we actually make it here. We make the sticker, okay, and it has like cut out letters and all the rest of it. Mm-hmm. And when the knife runs across this thing, I should make a little video of it being made. But it's really intricate, and so we get this thing, and then we have to go pick out the pieces that, would be, clear through it. And we thought it was such a tedious process. We thought, initially I thought, hey, let's just send it to them and let them pick out the parts out of it. And then we thought better of that. So anyhow.
So that's put a little damper on me getting certificates out. And so we came up with a solution today. So hopefully we can get that remedied and get those certificates to everybody, because I know that he's probably not the only one that's itching for his certificate. And so, but yeah, I'm still working on that. And then I think that's pretty, yes. Do not forget that the crystal etched ED 152, is that right, Scott? On a go-to amount.
ED 152.
It's still available, and I have a picture of it. Hang on, because I
actually have one.
Well, Daniel made a.
Made a better picture, but this is it's a very nice.
It's amazing.
And it was made directly from the engineering files. So, it was just imported, and then lasers go to town.
Let me show you. So there it is.
Well, that's a good picture.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So we have that for sale for our members for $59.99. Usually at regular $99.99. And then we also have the Bino viewers. We haven't talked very much about the Bino viewers. So so I just want to remind the members that we have the Bino viewers still available for members before, it's first dibs. And once they're out there, then they're out there. That's special pricing for them. So, so that's pretty much everything I've got.
So guys, Wade Prunny messaged me and said, "Hey Scott, can I come in your office?" And I was just like, "Yeah." I didn't know he's outside my door. So
what did you say it was?
how you doing, man?
Good. How are you doing? Nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too. You too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you got here?
So I just did a camp with some kids. Did some astronomy outreach with them, and we did some imaging with the scope that y'all sent me, the ED 102, and so we did an image, and this is the kids did this. So I wanted to bring this by. Thank you for letting them use.
Oh yeah,
the
sure.
scope. So that's the
look at that. So Eagle Nebula. Now, who did this shot? You, right?
Me and the kids.
And the kids.
Yes.
Oh, you guys got to see that. That's really beautiful, right?
Oh yeah, that's
wow.
So we just I wanted to see if I could get it. I found Walgreens does quick canvas prints. So I wanted to print it out and bring it to you. So. And say thank you.
Well,
for
thank you.
Us,
it's going right here in my office, dude. That's awesome.
So a bunch of 10, 11, and 12-year-olds out there.
Great.
So
wow, they did a really beautiful job. I mean, you can really. The image is really well guided, and it's really spectacular.
Oh yeah, you can see the pillars of creation right in the middle. Beautiful.
So Wade doesn't live around here. Wade, you drove up here, right?
Yeah, I've been driving for about 8 hours.
And you live down in Texas, don't you?
Oh, you're out of Illinois right now?
No, I live in the Dallas, Texas area.
Oh, sure.
The camp was in Eunice, Louisiana, so down in the crawfish area of Louisiana, southern Louisiana.
I thought that was the whole state was crawfish area. So.
Well, this is where they grow them.
Okay, that's cool.
That's where they raise them.
That's cool.
Anyway, yeah, we had a blast down there with them. So, and I couldn't believe how interested in this they were. They were just super excited about it.
Wow.
And it was really
what was their reaction when they saw this whole image?
Amazing. When we took the images and stacked everything, I actually went through PixInsight with them.
Yeah.
And I explained. So I showed them a flat file. I stretched a flat file and showed them all the dirt and stuff that we were taking out, and then I brought the photo up, the master photo up, and when I brought it up, it comes up black because most of the histogram has no data in it, right?
I see.
And so I explained that to him, and I said, so I'm going to hit this button, it's going to stretch this. And so I did. I hit the button, and boom, it and all of them, they were just mouths dropped open, you know, eyes were huge.
Yeah, that's cool.
So it was really that's you know, that's one of the coolest things ever when someone sees that for the first time, right? When they stretch that image for the first time.
Right.
And
So that's a wonderful thing that you're doing with this outreach, you know. I also know that it's like when you do outreach and you get a response anything near what you got, okay?
Right.
It's just
it is.
it's so good, you know, and so it's you know, it is something where, you know, I've said this before, but you know, if I have a day or a week or whatever is going on in my life and things don't seem right, if I go out on a street corner and I show people the stars, then everything starts to make sense again, and I go, okay, this is why I do this. This is
right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
this is what it's all about. So that's very cool. That's very cool.
Hey, Wade.
I didn't mean to take over your stream today. So I tried to get her earlier. I tried to get her in time, but I got a 3-year-old with me.
Yeah.
So that caused some delays.
Hey, Wade.
Cool.
You know, that's taken with an ED80, right?
No, the ED102 that you
The 102. Okay, that's right. It was 102. The point where the reason I'm going is people get hung up on giant telescopes with long focal length. This is a comparatively wide field telescope, and you're able to take a fantastic picture of something up in the sky. That's not real big, but you don't have to have a huge scope to take pictures like that. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
People think you have to have these massive, you know, telescopes, and if you're going to get started, an ED80 or a 102 is the place to start.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you know, when I explain to the kids, because that's one of their first questions. What's the best telescope to get? You know, and I explain to them that, well, there's different targets in the sky, and if we wanted to image the North American Nebula, we wouldn't have been able to fill the whole thing in, right? So you don't necessarily need a longer focal length for some targets. So honestly, when you get the bug and you get into this, you're going to end up with multiple telescopes.
Oh, that's true.
Right? You've
That's true.
got to be able
You
to
have
do
different ones that are like tools, you know.
Right.
So you need a crescent wrench, you need a hammer, you need, you know, you might be able to hammer in the nail with a crescent wrench, but you know,
Right.
it's not quite that radical. But as you get more into this and as you get better, you'll find that small differences in telescopes become big differences to you. So, you know,
Yes, sir.
that's very true.
And the ED80 is a great place to start, actually. You can get, I mean, it might not be that zoomed in look, but you get everything with it, right?
Right.
And
And it's forgiving
and
because
it's so
shorter
forgiving.
focal length.
Right.
And, you know, so that's true.
So, and then
Very true.
when you get into 2000 plus, then you've got to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because any little thing shows up.
Drive, you know, your drive's got to be really performing very well. All kinds of things, your polar alignment, flexure, all these little niggling kind of things that don't really show up so much with a short focal length telescope, really show up with a long focal length one.
Yes,
So,
sir.
yeah. Well, that's awesome. Thanks, man.
So,
Thank
yes,
you.
sir. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
it's great
I really
to see
appreciate
you.
it. Yes, sir. It's
Yeah,
good seeing you too.
yeah.
Thank y'all.
Yeah.
So,
And where are you heading back to?
We're staying here tonight, and then we're going to Branson tomorrow.
Oh,
So,
okay.
doing a little family vacation.
Very
now.
good. Very
So,
good.
But anyway,
Yeah, if you want, you know, we're doing the show here right now, but we have the showroom and stuff. You
right.
can check
I'm
it out.
definitely going to go look around there.
Okay.
I've never, I live in Dallas, Texas, and there's no astronomy stores at
Yeah,
all.
sadly, that's true. They all closed down. I think the last one open was called the Observatory.
Yes,
It was
sir.
in Dallas. All right.
So this is the first time I've ever been into one.
Oh, okay. All right.
So I'm definitely going to go out there and check that out.
All right.
So thank you very much.
Excellent.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Wade.
So Wade,
Thank you.
about 5 o'clock, come back and tell us what it's like in Fantasyland.
And yeah.
Take care.
All right.
Thanks,
you.
Wade. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And to get to the showroom, you just go straight down that hall and turn left.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thanks.
Why is that, Scott?
Oh, that was cool.
What happened in Dallas?
That's where he lives. He's in Dallas. Okay.
Yeah.
So he drove up here, which is about an 8-hour drive. And, you know, you heard the whole story, you know, he's out there doing educational outreach with a special program in school. And they, I guess, used his rig because he has, you know, he's an astrophotographer. and they made this image.
Beautiful.
So it was kind of a combined effort, So I'm going to hang that thing up right. If I tear something down and go hang that up. Anyhow.
Very cool.
Yeah. So before we move on to Kent, Annie, is there anything else that we would?
No, I just
like to
wanted to
cover?
give a shout out. You probably know the customer's name. I didn't grab it, but a customer sent each and every one of us at Explore Scientific a gold coin.
These gold coins right here.
And
One of the gold coins has the Hubble. They're dollars, US dollars,
Yes.
$1 coins, and one of them is for anti-jump cannon, which is that was the lady who classified all 350,000 stars into their respective spectra, so she did all that work. She was so good at it that you could show her spectra and she would tell you, oh, that's a type whatever star. She could do it in 3 seconds after looking at the spectra. Really amazing. And then the other one has an etching of the Hubble Space Telescope. So that was Michael Murata, and so that was very cool that he did that. So
we were super surprised and excited, and so we just want to say thank you so much for doing that for us. So
yeah, he's out of Texas too. So really, very nice people in Texas, huh? But anyhow, hey guys, I'm from Texas too, so this is kind of the deal here. Let's move on in our program to Kent Marts. Kent's episode is going to focus on STEM gear for students, and so we're going to transition here. And Annie, thanks very much, and we'll see you. We're going to start seeing Annie Monday through Friday, so she keeps us up to date. There's a lot of things going on in Explore Alliance. So
thanks, Annie. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Hey, Scott, I don't think that video is running live.
You don't think what video's running live?
For 25 years, the Global Learning and
Your video's not going out on Facebook.
program engaged students and members of the public in hands-on science. Globe's
There-
activities also
Yeah,
There it goes.
and the
I'm
public
watching
to
it.
contribute their observations to a database used by other students and the scientific community. Lieutenant Natasha Hope of the U.S. Coast Guard credits her experience with Globe to encourage her to pursue a science-oriented career.
Way back in high school, when I joined the Globe program, we got selected to present our project down in South Africa to actual scientists. At that time, I already had a passion for science, but just seeing it on a bigger scale and that exposure solidified that I just love science and I was going to pursue science no matter what. But I didn't really realize the impact that it would have on me until seeing what my future could be like. When there was a scientist, she was presenting little machines that she made go down to like the depths of the ocean. At that time, I was like, this is the coolest thing in the world. I want to do that. I would say that moment is the moment that I was like, the ocean is for me. I want anything to do with it. And it kind of helped me apply to the Coast Guard because of their missions.
Globe students range from elementary to undergraduate levels and span 6 global regions. While learning the practices of science, Globe provides students access to NASA subject matter experts. The Globe program also allows the public to participate in citizen science through its Globe Observer app. Launched by the US government in 1995 and sponsored by NASA since the early 2000s, Globe has additional support from the National Science Foundation, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, and the Department of State. Currently, 125 countries participate in Globe, and participation continues to grow.
Students who are looking to be more active in the science field, I would say if you have the opportunity to be a part of the GLOW program, do it, because it will open up your horizons. Absolutely gives you more encouragement. It empowers you, and you get to see other kids that are just like you from around the world. It was an amazing opportunity. I'm telling you, if kids can do it, do it.
Okay. So for, Kemp, were you on for any part of the Global Star Party at all?
No, I had stuff to do at the house. I wasn't
Oh,
on
okay.
at all. It
All
looked
right.
like I'm gonna try and watch parts of it on video tonight, but I had
Okay.
honeydew list to do.
That's right. We had really a spectacular one, but part of every Global Star Party is while we have a lot of advanced people on, we have scientists on, we have professional astronomers on sometimes. We really like to also give an element of something that will fuel interest for beginners. People are just starting, no matter what that age might be. And so as, here at our company at Explore Scientific, kind of the way that we mirror that with product is we look at STEM products that we think will engage young people and get them started for, exploring their backyards or being able to use their, these kinds of things, this gear for, looking at nature or to, examine something in the microscopic world or, of course, astronomy. And so Kent's going to kind of go through some of that stuff with us. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Kent.
Thank you, Scott. So I went through and just picked the stuff that I like and the stuff we have in stock. That became sort of, we got a lot of great stuff coming in stock. There's some stuff that's on the way that I didn't want to talk about until we have it in stock. Some of it's not even up on the website yet, but I'll start off with one of my favorite toys that we got in last year. This is a V8 4-stroke engine. It comes with pieces, and it's more than 270 pieces. Each piece mirrors a part that's in a real V8 engine, and you put it together, and it actually works a little bit. So,
hey, didn't Libby buy one for herself? And
yes, she did. She did a video for us.
Right. Yeah. I remember her mom saying that she thought that, okay, we'll buy this because it'll take Libby a week or something like that to make this. She just started on it and did not stop until it was done. And I think she finished it in a few hours, actually.
And the funny part about it is she did it quicker than Heath and Tyler did it. Heath and Tyler were working on it for hours. And
right.
Libby just put it together. But this thing, I would have loved to have had this as a kid. My dad would bring stuff home that didn't work or whatever, and he would hand it to me and say, there you go, take it apart. And I'd take it apart. Now, I learned a lot from that. But, the inner workings of a V8 engine is sort of, you don't realize how much is in there, to make it work. And this is a pretty cool way to make it work. And, it'd be fun to take it apart and put it back together multiple times. So that thing retails for $79.99. It's on our website. If you go to V8 Model Engine, you'll find it, and available for shipping. Great for a Christmas or birthday present for somebody that you think may be mechanically inclined, or someone who's not mechanically inclined, but this may push them down that road to gaining some understanding for how mechanical things work. And Annie's sitting there laughing and nodding her head yes, because, I'm not going to, yeah. So anyway,
Are you saying that I need that? Because I'm not mechanically inclined at all.
Annie has learned a lot working here, and she's done a great job with mechanical stuff. She's never done it before, and she's really, taken to, she's open and not scared of it. And I think that's the key to a lot of it is just being open and not scared because, I can't do that. It's mechanical.
Oh, the minute you say you can't do that, guess what? You can't.
Well, that's right. And, Annie's never said I can't do that. She's jumped in with both feet.
If I said I couldn't do that, Tyler or Heath would hand it to me and walk away and say, you're doing it.
Yes, that's what they would do. So, all right. So moving along, this is the Explore One land and water habitat. And so we have it with some bark and some plants in there. And it's a great little thing. You keep your friends in it. And you see that there, it has a little magnifying glass.
Don't aim that at the sun.
Yeah, don't aim that at the sun. And don't leave it out in the sun with your frog friend in it because
that's right.
You'll have boiled frog or toasted frog.
Yeah,
comes with this cool little device. Let me see here.
Yeah, magnifying glass.
Yep. And then if you want to go that super magnifying glass right there, so magnifying glass and a cool little net that is about that big, up close to my face. And that's $19.99. Again, on the website, in stock, ready to ship. We've got a metal detector, and this is the National Geographic.
This is actually, if even for like amateur astronomers, and you'll see this thing, you go, okay, obviously this is made for a kid. But
it is.
If you lost a set screw, let's say in the grass out at your observing site, okay, really tough to find, especially tough to find if it's a critical threaded part that's holding your telescope together or a piece of your telescope together, and it's nighttime. So what you do is you fire this thing up and you just hold the trigger, and it's easy to use, right, Ken? I mean, you just hold the trigger, and if it's metal, you're going to get, it's a metal detector. So you're going to find your part and get back, working again.
It is a toy. I mean, it's not a high end, Whiter Garrett that you can set the sensitivity and everything on. It's $34.99, but it works. In fact, you can find the rebar in places in the concrete floor out in the showroom because the rebar is close enough in the concrete that you can find the rebar. And we know it's there because every metal detector goes to the same spot. So $34.99 on our website. This is, have we got everything else? Yep. So this is pretty cool. This is sort of, let me get a hold of it here. So this is a flexible scope, right? Okay. And so we were experimenting with showing y'all in my ear, and it really didn't work. And, but this thing is flexible.
Oh, that thing is cool.
Yeah. Carl Hostetter works back in our warehouse. Joanne, whose wife works just next to me out at the front desk. He got one of these when he works on engines and other things. When he drops a bolt or screw or is trying to find exactly where something is, he can thread this down in an engine and find it. So let me see what we can do here.
There you are.
So, going on the phone. So there's that. You can see that, I think. And so here's a Game and Fish Commission logo on a card. It's sort of weird to make this thing look at the phone, the screen backwards. So anyway, this thing is way cool. It's Explore One Adventure Scope.
You can't really see the end of it because of your virtual background, Kent. And you have to talk to get the camera back.
Yeah, so, okay, yeah, you're talking. So there we go. So there's the little camera. Mm-hmm. It has, let me get the lights to come. There we go. It has little lights that come on, right? And so, as you can see, get this together. There's my camera. There we go. Is that showing?
Yeah.
You see that? There we go.
Yes.
So that's pretty cool right there. And it's a great little thing. Cool toy. I've actually used one when I had something I actually dropped down in the engine. $29.99. So there's 4 great STEM-related educational toys out there that you can pick up right now. If you've got somebody in your family that's a kid or a science-minded person that loves stuff like this, great. Here you go. I love you, or Christmas, or birthday or whatever.
What
So,
I bought my kids for last Christmas was two of those. I knew because they're twins, I mean, they do share a lot of toys, but I knew they wouldn't share this. So,
yeah.
so I've got them each one, and they're happy with that.
For the next couple of weeks, I want to focus on a couple of these products as well. I think this is it's FirstLight of these toys. The first time you play with something is really FirstLight. And we got some more stuff coming. As it gets a little bit closer, I'll be able to talk about more. But we've got a few more things I can talk about that we have in stock or will be in stock very, very soon, pending actual delivery and getting them unstuck from wherever they're stuck. All right, Scott, you were talking about our little adventure this weekend. You mentioned it.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that right now?
Yeah.
Do you want me to show them the map?
Sure.
Or should we? Oh, okay. All right. So,
we should probably just talk about it in general. We don't have it completely done, so.
Well, that's true. All right. We won't, that's a teaser. So
Yeah.
I will tell you this.
Show them where Lakey, Texas is.
Well, yeah, that's what I can show them. So hang on. Let me get that. I
And where
literally
the
just closed
eclipse paths
the
are.
paths are. So, let me dig down into my folders here and get it up. There we go. So put that there. I've got too many things open. Okay. Share screen. Screen 2. Share. There we go. All right. So there we go. All right. So this is the 2023 annular eclipse. And this path is the 2024 total eclipse. And I'm going to zoom in here just a little bit. So as you can see, there's a big X where the paths cross, right? And so somewhere around Lakey, Texas.
And it looks like Leaky, Texas, but it's pronounced Lakey.
And I made the mistake a couple of times, and we want to pronounce it correctly to be happy. So anyway, right in there somewhere is where we're talking about having a star party. And to put it in perspective, the annular eclipse will get 4 minutes and 59 seconds of complete total eclipse, although of annular eclipse.
Annular, complete annular,
full annular eclipse. We'll get 5 minutes, 4 minutes and 59 seconds. For the total eclipse, we'll get 4 minutes and 24 seconds. So,
wow, that's long actually.
Both really long duration eclipses.
Those are really long.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
It's going to be fantastic. We're working on pricing. Additionally, it looks like we're going to have a star party in 2022 down there in April, just a straight star party as a rehearsal for the 2024 eclipse. So for the total eclipse, so we'll do a announcement. Okay, get ready. It's the eclipse is going to happen. First contact in 5 minutes, and then work through the whole thing so we can practice our gear and understand the timing and things like that.
Yeah.
And then I suspect it won't be as big, but we're looking at bringing in showers and porta potties because this is dry camping. There's no electricity. There's no water. There are rattlesnakes and scorpions. There is cactus.
All the good places there are.
Yeah. If you, and it's dark. Now we were there last weekend, first quarter moon, and Scott, you had your SQL meter there. What did you learn?
Well, what I learned is that if I aim my meter at away from the moon, still at the dark of the moon, I got a reading of about 20 out of a possibly. I mean, the darkest it can go to is 22. So thereabouts. So this is a very dark sky, even with the quarter phase moon. And the quarter phase moon was so bright that you really could read a book under the moonlight there. When we get to the dark of the moon, I'm sure it will be very, very dark with a beautiful Milky Way. We did observe a small light dome from El Paso, which was almost 100 miles away.
Not El Paso, San Antonio.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Except San Antonio.
That's right. That's right. And but Leakey itself, or Lakey, sorry guys,
Yeah.
didn't. I mean, there's so few lights there. It's incredible. It's a town of like 400 people, I think, is their population. They have a couple of restaurants, a gas station. I think there's a Dollar General store or something like that. But the rest of the town, I wasn't expecting to be as cool looking as it is, because it's like an old West Texas town. It's really neat, So
It's in hill country,
Yeah.
so it's not flat desert. There's a lot of terrain change. The Frio River runs through there, and it's named the Frio River because it's not hot. It's very cold. The county, I didn't look up the population of the county, but the county seat itself has 428 people. It's in the county, there's not a single stoplight. They don't have even a four-way stop. It's so small. It's going to be dark. There's not a lot around it. Amazingly, lots of the houses out there don't have security lights. So I wish we could have been there when it was dark of the moon, but we just couldn't make it work out, so we didn't go. We're going to send the light meter back down there and have somebody use it under a dark of the moon and see how high into the 20s we can get it to go. And I'm looking forward to seeing how dark it can really get there. But
even at only 20, we know it's going to be darker than that. A 20 sky was dark enough to see the Milky Way. You could detect the Milky Way.
Right. And that was with Sahara dust in the sky, because there was some Sahara dust that was blowing over. So, the farther south you go, the better chance you have of seeing totality due to clouds for the total eclipse. So that's why we picked where we did. And, having this at the X marks the spot is pretty cool. Now, I actually have looked on Google Earth exactly where the center is. If you want to be on the bullseye, you'd have to have a helicopter to get there, or a four-wheel drive vehicle, farm vehicle, to get back into these hills, because it's pretty remote out there and there's not much there. And as you can tell, we're on a state highway. It's going to have good access. Because it's so close to the center line in the city, I fully expect that it will be absolute gridlock for the total eclipse, for sure.
We saw that when we went to Casper, Wyoming for the 2017 eclipse.
Correct.
So all those people, all of you out there that saw a partial eclipse and go, wow, yeah, that was interesting, and did not see a total eclipse, you really have to go see a total eclipse. And maybe your friends told you what it was like, how life-changing it was, how incredible it was, So this is your chance to go somewhere along the center line in the United States in 2024 to see another total eclipse of the sun without you having to get on a cruise ship somewhere or go to another country or, be in the jungle somewhere to go see it, or, people that chase eclipses regularly have been in some of the most remote, no services kind of areas in the world. So there are other ways to see an eclipse. Sometimes you can fly, and there are those trips, but those are, such tickets are, very expensive. I think you might be able to fly like a, what do they call that? The vomit comet, the 0G gravity experience. So some of the jets and stuff that have chased and have gone on eclipse expeditions, this kind of a high roller thing to do. Even driving over land, we found that, it was, hotels were gouging people to stay at the hotel for, a place to stay during the eclipse. We just saw massive price increases overall based off of that. And including, Kent, you were with us, correct? Were you at the 2017 eclipse?
Yes, I was. I wasn't with Explore Scientific.
All right,
I
but you were, yeah,
but I
okay,
was
so
in
you have your own
Casper.
stories,
Right,
that's right.
right.
So as we're leaving Casper, okay, the next day, we thought, okay, it's time for us to get out of here. It was absolute gridlock. And when I say gridlock, I'm talking about being stuck on the highway, okay, between Wyoming and Colorado. There's a lot of empty space out there, but not during an eclipse. There were people that didn't get home for like, I think it was like 20 hours or something like
Right.
that.
We had a friend, right.
Okay,
Yep.
which is normally a 3 or 4 hour drive. So we drove across, we didn't try to go down Colorado to get back home, but we cut across Nebraska and we thought, okay, we're going across Nebraska. The eclipse is over. Hotels should be cheap now, should be back to its regular price. No, the hotel people are smart enough to know that if you're leaving like the next day, it's another day to charge you a lot of money for a hotel room. And boy, they did. We stopped at multiple motels and hotels on the way out, hoping we could just get some rest. And it turned out that most of them, and I'm talking like on the level of Motel 6, were like somewhere between $600 and $800 a night. Okay, so it was nuts. So
Scott,
we didn't pay for any hotels. We just made a massive drive all the way down to back home.
So Scott, I saw on some Facebook posts this morning that there's an eclipse in April of 2023 on the very far western tip of Australia.
Mm-hmm.
And so people had called resorts there and made reservations.
Yeah.
And they've all been now canceled. They started canceling those reservations.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing
Because-
that happens. You think you're going to get a hotel room, you're planning it months and months out in advance.
It's years.
And then it gets close and the hotel owners go, wait a minute, we got an eclipse coming. We're canceling all the reservations,
And that's what's happened.
and
Yep.
resell, and then they resell. So
And-
yeah,
and
it's
so
very
This is,
terrible.
this is important because we're not going to do that to you.
No.
And we're not going to
gonna do
gouge you either.
That's very true. That's very true. We have to pay, obviously, for the event, and things that we want to pay for are things like having showers brought in, bathrooms, of course, brought in. We're looking at the possibility of a food truck. Who was it? Jeff Wise said he'll bring his smoker. Okay. So
Yeah.
yeah, if
Barbecue
you want
for
to do that, that's
500.
cool, dude. But it would be very similar. This kind of camping experience or star party experience would be very similar to what they do in Colorado for their big star party. It's very similar to the Golden State Star Party up in California, the northern part of California, which is really great. A lot of star party areas are remote, and you have to bring in everything. And when you leave, you got to pack everything out too. So you want to leave no trace if possible. So that's the deal with that. But yeah, instead of spending many hundreds or thousands of dollars, okay, you would be able to go to a place that is geographically, totally dialed in for both of these eclipses. You'll be with in a safe group with people who know how to deal with, help each other out with astronomy gear and really know how to get the best out of a stargazing experience. So it will be limited in price because we're not going to gouge you for the cost of doing this. It's going to be limited in number of people too. So definitely want to get in, and there will be a discounted price for Explorer Alliance members. There'll be a benefit. So you're definitely going to want to join. We give out door prizes at these kinds of things too. And to receive a door prize, you have to be a member. So, and remember, membership is effectively free. It's either free or you are buying something that's worth over $100 and you buy the platinum membership on top of that. We give you an instant $100 gift certificate against the purchase. So it's free and it's free.
So Scott, I was sitting here looking up. It's going to be a great time to be in Texas. both April and October have very similar weather. The
Mhm.
high is in the low 80s and the low is in the low 50s.
Yeah.
And it's going to be just beautiful weather, for sure.
Yep.
All right. So, and we need to get moving on because there's a lot yet to go. I saw that Wiesner said that it was humid in Oracle. So I looked up what humid in Oracle means. And currently it's 98 degrees with 23% humidity. And, Mike, I'm sorry, but 23% humidity is not really low humidity, because right now here in Springdale, Arkansas, is 85 with 48% humidity, which is frankly low humidity for this time of the year. So, I don't feel much for you there, Mike. Sorry about that. Although if you're not used to it, it's pretty bad. So anyway, so that's coming up. Things are firming up. San Antonio is going to be a madhouse. Harold just posted his nephew has property on the east side of San Antonio. The east side of San Antonio, I think, is, depending on where he is going to be outside of Totality. I can look that up real quick, Harold, for you. But Eclipse is all about location. It's like real estate. If he's looking this up, if he's inside the 123 ring, then he's going to be right on the edge of the annular. But for Totality, it goes at about a 45-degree angle through downtown. Everything south of that line is outside of Totality. So
we will, we have to kind of wrap up because we got Cameron coming on, and then we've got also Caitlin Aarons coming on. So, but we're going to have a program just all about the eclipse and where you can go, and not only to our event, but other good places as we learn about them for these two amazing events. So, but sorry to cut you off short there, Ken.
No, that's okay. I've been trying to get out, and I just keep talking because I don't know. I keep talking.
All right. Okay. So we're going to transition over now to Cameron Gillis, and thanks for watching FirstLight Chronicles.
All right. Thanks, Scott. So
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Here we go.
Yeah. So
episode.
anyways, it's Cameron Gillis here, and this is Camstronomy and Camstronomy. I gotta get the inflection right, but yeah, let's see where you are on your sky survey.
You bet. Yeah. So we're on episode 10, as Scott said. So we've done a lot of exploring in the last 10 episodes, going from we're on almost 100 surveys, images that have been reviewed. So 80 objects out of the 820, so about 10%. of the what I call the best and brightest from the survey. And so this week we're going to continue our adventure into southern Sagittarius. As you recall, the last episode, in episode 9, we did the northern part of Sagittarius. We were working our way through the center of the Milky Way, and now we are continuing that. And the area we're going to be looking at moved from kind of pure nebulosity to the larger nebulae like Triplet Nebula, Omega Nebula, Lagoon Nebula. We're going to now move into kind of globular cluster territory. So with that being said, let's go through it, and then I'll also share a little bit on my updates from what's been going on the imaging and how that's been improving. So so this is where we left off last week with Lagoon Nebula, and just a recap. One of the biggest discoveries in my imaging survey process is I've added flats. So this was before the flats was applied, and then as you can see, now with flats applied, it makes a huge difference. The dynamic range, you can really pull out these fainter nebulosity, on the outskirts, and you eliminate you have totally two different images, and the vignetting is gone. So very, very, very happy with that. So with that, the first one we're going to go to is a globular cluster just southeast of Lagoon Nebula, and let's go there on the Sky Safari. And it is, let's zoom in. We're actually going to do it this way. I'm going to search. It's NGC 6544. So we're going to search for NGC 6544. NGC 6544. That globular cluster is about 9.8 thousand light years away. It's fairly bright, magnitude 7.76. We're going to center on it and zoom in. And I'm going to change my finder. Instead of this was I was doing some smartphone viewing, so that's why there is a circle there for my scope. So I'm going to change that to my ASI 294. Take that off. There we go. So there's my image circle or image frame, and we'll keep it at. I'll keep it at. I started most of the imaging. I started around 11 and then finished around 1. So a good 2 to 3 hours of imaging. So I'll just keep it for now at this level. So that keeps the right for the visual plate salt. So 6544, as you can see, is just a little bit south of the Lagoon Nebula. And if you look at this, is before you can see the big knitting. This is how I had it before. It's very low on the horizon. If you look at my altitude here, it's 17 degrees off the horizon. So again, zooming back out, this is my horizon. This is just with a lunar. I actually have some trees over here to the southeast, and then I have my house to the southwest. So I have just a tiny little corridor where I can actually grab the southern. So people who are in the southern states, or obviously in the southern hemisphere, will have the big benefit of having Sagittarius further up. So what you see as a result from the imaging is when you don't have flats, it really, the light pollution and the sky glow really accentuates this dynamic range from the vignetting on the edge to the center. But if you go to the, this is my new image, which is quite a bit more flat, but you can still see it has a little corner here. And that's because I actually had to take new flats. But when I took this picture on the 15th, I hadn't yet discovered this little aberration, but I just wanted to show you the incremental improvement going from no flats to flats, but still some work to be done. And I can tell you now that my new pictures have these remnant, these artifacts taken care of. So the new flats are actually that much better. But the nice part is you can see now all the stars across the field of view right to the edge. And it's a pretty small globular cluster. Again, around 9.8 1,000 light years away. Let's go to the next one, 6553. So we go, if I zoom back in, and we'll go 6553, NGC 6553. That one is a magnitude 8. It's 20,000 light years away. And the interesting, keep in mind, the last globular cluster we looked at, it was around 10,000 light years away. This one is fainter and farther. However, if you look at it visually, it's actually a bit bigger. It's a more denser, larger globular cluster. So if you compare these two here, 6544 against 6553, you'll notice that this has a larger core. So that was good. Now let's move to Barnard 6520 and Barnard 86. So there's a dark nebula in here, you can see to the right. So the object of interest is actually this open cluster, 6520, which you can see is a nice sprinkle of stars here. And then if you are in dark enough skies, you'll start to notice this dark patch, and that's Barnard 86 to the right. So if we look at that one, 6520, so NGC 6520, and you can see the dark patch here at Barnard 86. It's only 6.2 thousand light years away, quite bright, 7.5 magnitude. If we center on that, that's a little to the southwest, and it's right here. And there's another globular cluster here, the larger one. I click on that. It's called Jargovsky 2. And as you can see, even from the image here, that is a very elusive globular cluster. I wasn't able to pick that out. So it looks like it's quite large, but that will require some probably special processing and longer exposure to eke out that from the Milky Way densification. It might be behind the star cloud, but it's an interesting to see as you're doing the survey on the brighter objects and you're starting to image. It is fascinating to see that some of the fainter objects that are in the same field of view, to see if you can do those as challenge. Obviously not a visual object, it's, you know, but from an imaging challenge perspective, that would be a fun one to kind of eke out in the future. Okay, let's go to the next one. This is a Planetary Nebula 6565. And as you can see from the image here, you can see a couple of things. So first of all, it's a very stellar planetary nebula. If you look at the star plate solve, so you see these two stars here, that's these two here. Then you see the next two, those are these two here. So that planetary nebula basically is right here. And if we zoom in, you really can't, you can barely see it's slightly different. It's greenish tinge a little bit on the perimeter. That's kind of the giveaway that it's a planetary nebula, but you could clearly see you'd need a longer focal length to really eke that out from an image. But visually, it's quite bright and quite well-defined fuzzy star. So an example of, you know, using different tools to be able to do your observations. So it's very much like double stars, where you can visually pick them out with a good refractor or a good maxitop or a long focal length Schmidt-Cassegrain. But when you start to take images, the stars start to bloat and they start to merge together the pixels. So you don't have that same view as you do visually. So this will be an interesting challenge, you know, with a Barlow or something from an imaging perspective, or a high-powered Mac, because it's bright enough. You don't need long exposure because it's very easy to blow out these brighter planetary nebula, which have high surface brightness, to see any structure. So you only need a short exposure, but probably a lot of short exposure stacks, but maybe even 5 seconds, but definitely need to have longer focal length. And you'll see that again. We're going to continue this, but I just wanted to explain that for this first time around that we get into this type of planetary nebula. So this was 6565, and if I go to it on the star chart, let me search for that. Okay, there's NGC 6565. That's a magnitude 11.3. So it's, it's relatively faint compared to what we were looking at before with globular clusters and that. But because it's very small, you can see it's 0.2 and 0.1 arc minutes size. It has a very high surface brightness. So even with a smaller telescope, you should be able to eke it out. And it's 4.3 light years away, 1,000 light years away. We center on it, and if it was just to the east of the star cloud. Let's continue. M28. So now we're getting into a brighter globular cluster. This is a pretty nice one. Still fairly small. A lot of the globular clusters in this area are pretty concentrated compared to the show object. There's a couple of large ones. We'll get to those, but these ones are good ones. So if you're in the southern states or in the southern hemisphere, you're going to have the advantage of seeing these guys, and they're very nice and bright. And you'll see the granularity visually pretty easily, even with the smaller scope. But the cores are going to be pretty concentrated. So depending on the size of your scope, you may be able to resolve the central core or not. So if we go to M28. M28. It's very bright, magnitude 6.7. Probably, it's going to be in a very dark sky. You'll be able to technically see it probably easily with binoculars as a little fuzzy star. But that's kind of the fun part about some of these, especially the globular clusters. They're quite concentrated in many cases. 18,000 light years away. We center on that and past the moon, and it's a little further northeast. NGC 6629, another planetary nebula, but you can see this one here is a little more non-stellar. You can just start to see it's a little more than a star. Again, it's just begging for a little more focal length to kind of get that non-stellar. But it's a nice gray puff. And 6629 is, find it here. MGC 6229. Oh, was it 6629?
Beautiful cluster, huh?
Yeah, I love the globular clusters.
Me too.
So this planetary nebula, we go into the information there. Again, it's just over 11th magnitude. Again, a little bit. Let's see. You can see it's a little larger than the last planetary. Last one was 0.1 and 0.2 arc minutes size. This one's a little larger, so it's a little easier to see. It's non-stellar, and it's at 5.4 thousand light years away. Continuing.
Yep.
6644. So 6644, yet another stellar planetary nebula, and again, these are really nice to look at visually. I like planetary nebulae because you can see the nebulosity, you can see they're kind of like a fuzzy star. They're quite bright, and they're a good test for optics for nice little refractors. So if we go 6644, and you can see it's right here. Right there. If I zoom in a little bit, just to see a little bit of non-stellar there, but it could be mixed up for noise. So again, you need a longer focal length to really eke that out. So 6644. Let's search for that guy. 6644. That is a magnitude. See, it's quite a bit brighter. It's magnitude 10.8. So again, easily seen in a smaller scope. It's very small, 0.1 arc minute. Okay, so that's a very small one. And it doesn't say the distance. So let's center where that is. It's a little bit to the south, southwest. Again, just to get our bearings, we are at the top of the teapot. So we've just moved on from the lagoon. So that's quite a number of objects just right around here on the northern part of the teapot. We're continuing eastward. M22, now here we go. Here's a beautiful. This is a nice big, especially if you're going to be in the southern states or southern hemisphere. This is going to be a very nice cluster for you. Very easily resolved across the core, nice, large. You can see all the stars. Beautiful. And this picture here, I actually had a better flat. As you can see, there's no big netting on the corner. So this was actually a better one. So M22, and if we look at the M22 specs,
you know, very jewel-like.
Very jewel-like. I love it when you have that three-dimensional effect. Of zoom in a little bit, you can see the brighter stars in the foreground, and you can start to see some patterns in the background with, you know, there's a little bit of a chunk out of it here. They all have their own little characteristics. As you start studying these, really enjoyable. M22, so we're just going to go straight to that and center on it. And then let's get the information. It's a good clean 10,000 light years away, and very bright, magnitude 5. So this one easily a naked eye object in reasonably dark skies, or with binoculars, and it's a good one. 6717. This was interesting. As you can see, this is a very, even though it shows it quite large here, you zoom in, it is very small, concentrated, super. I'm expecting this one to be super far away. So let's see if I'm right. 6717. Let's go search for that guy. Well, actually, let's just click on it. And let's be faster. So 6717. Oh, it's not that far. It's 23,000 light years away, but it's a much smaller, and it's a fainter one, magnitude 9. So obviously, that's a good example where, from a surface brightness perspective, it's okay. It's not super great, but it's because it's so small, the magnitude, the overall magnitude, of course, goes down. But yeah, I'd say this is one of the more challenging ones, but definitely it's interesting to contrast it against M22, because M22, you got this huge globular cluster, nice three-dimensional, very massive, and then you have this cute diminutive, you know, little cluster here, which is clearly a globular cluster. When you see it visually, it's more apparent. You see it it's very small globular cluster. M69. Now we're going to get into the southern teapot. I'm just going to do it manually. So this was trying something out there. So M69, and there's 3 globular clusters at the bottom of the, and they're all Messier objects at the bottom of the teapot. So M69, starting with that, kind of a medium small cluster, pretty concentrated. Little bit of you'll be able to see some stars on the outside. If we go to the information, you see it's not even that bright for a Messier object. For a globular cluster, once you start to get the 9th and 10th magnitude, start to get a little fainter. But because it's smaller, still the same 5.4 arc minutes, it's 23,000 light years away. It's still bright enough to be able to see in a smaller telescope. M70. Very similar. Actually, all these 3 down here are both the same. M70. If you look at M70, that's the source here. M70. It's quite a bit further. So it's interesting that it looks like the sister or brother of M69, but it's another 10,000 light years away, magnitude 7.8. And it's a bit bigger. Same type of thing, though. It has a little bit of modeling on the edges, and then, of course, a concentrated core. And then M54. kind of, this is the trio. So continuing, going further out here. Just there we go. Zoom back out. So M54, which is on the eastern side of the teapot, magnitude 7.6. And that guy.
Hey, Cameron,
Whoa,
there's a
this is interesting.
question. There's a question here from Jeff Wise. He wants to know what the focal length of your Mac Cassegrain is.
Okay. So these pictures, so the focal length of my Mac, which is a Mac 104, is not what I've taken these pictures with, but it's the same focal length as the Schmidt Cassegrain that I'm using, the 8-inch Schmidt Cassegrain, because what happens is it's 1300 millimeters with f6.3 focal reducer. So what happens is native focal length on the Schmidt Cassegrain that I'm using for this picture would be 2032 millimeters. However, it's an f10, but I use a f6.3 reducer, which actually brings it to 1280 millimeter focal length, which is the same as my 4-inch Mac, which has an f15 or f13, I think, focal ratio, which turns out to be around 1300. So basically, if I put an eyepiece in the Mac 104 and the same eyepiece in the 8-inch Schmidt Cassegrain with the f6.3 reducer, basically the same power. When I look at imaging, I'm only imaging on my Schmidt Cassegrain. My image train includes f6.3 reducer. But when I'm doing visual with my Schmidt Cassegrain, I like to use the native focal length because I want to minimize the amount of glass, and I want actually the larger, the better contrast. So I remove the focal reducer. I use the native 2000 f10 focal ratio, 2032 millimeter focal length for my visual observations. But all these images that you see here, it's a long answer, but all these images you see are with the are at 1300 millimeter focal length with a f6.3 focal reducer on my 8-inch Schmidt Cassegrain. So M50, yeah, so M54 really far away. I mean, 86,000 light years away. Quite bright though, magnitude 7.6. Very intense. You can see even from this image here. So it's really neat to see the contrast these 3 globular clusters, and knowing the distances are, you know, in sequential order, going from nearest to furthest, going from west to east. So that's M54. Now we're going to move up. See, now we got a different shape and size.
That's a pretty one. Yeah.
This is a pretty one. M55. I like this one a lot, you know, because it's nice. You can very loose. You can very easily see all, and even at the smaller telescope, you'll be able to resolve these stars across the whole face. So it's a very pretty one. M55. And if we go here, so M55 is my furthest south one. And if I zoom in, so it's the southeast of my southeast part of Sagittarius. As you all know, Sagittarius is quite a large constellation if you go to the south. If I just to show you guys, let me zoom back out here. When it's a little bit slow here. There we go. This part of Sagittarius, you see Scorpio, Corona Australis, and if we take off the border, you can see Sagittarius actually goes quite a bit south. So there's more goodies down here, but there's no chance of me seeing those. Maybe if you're in the southern hemisphere, southern United States, you might be able to eke some of these guys here that are falling below my horizon. But when I turn my horizon back on, yeah, this is getting to the edge of what I can see. So M55 is one of those southernmost Messier objects, and if I go to the specs of that guy,
you know, there's quite a few variable stars also, It says, it's interesting, M55 has only about 55 variable stars in it. So
Oh, wow.
very
So it's
interesting.
like a twinkling cluster.
Right.
If you watched it over, let's see, years or months or depending on the periodicity
Yeah,
of
you could
those
probably
variable,
photograph it over a sequence and then make
yeah,
it into a movie, you know?
make it into a twinkling movie. Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be, hey,
Beautiful.
I like it. It will be done. It will be done in the future, Scott.
It will be. Yes.
That's neat. So it's 18,000 light years. And magnitude 6.3. So and it's nice, large, as you can see, 19 arc minutes across, and a good small scope because you can see all the individual stars. Okay, and then M75, another smaller cluster, again very concentrated. You can easily see the outer stars, but the center core gets hard to resolve with smaller scopes. So go to M75. And that's right on the border of Capricornus. And zoom it down. It's magnitude 8.5, so it's fairly faint for a globular cluster. But if I look at the information, it's pretty far out there too, 68,000 light years.
Right.
So it's pretty far. And the last object for today is the Little Gem Nebula, and it's really aptly named. I love this and highly recommend it for anyone, either the beginning or the end of your night. Take a look at this guy. It is really a little gem. You can just imagine whoever named it as such, that they were enjoying their night observing, and because it is a little gem. It's big enough, as you can see, to easily see. It's very high surface brightness. It's a really nice planetary nebula, beautiful. If I go to it on the map here, it's actually pretty high up for me, so that helps.
To be fairly good size for a planetary nebula.
It is compared to the ones we looked at earlier. So if I zoom in here, let's take a look at the size. So it's magnitude 9.4. So that's actually quite bright when you consider the size. It's, if I look at the information, yeah. So it's 0.4 by 0.2. So once you get to 0.4, half an arc minute, that starts to get nice. And this structure that you see here, you can actually start to pick out this, depending if I play around with the exposure and stacking and the focal length. If I take out the focal reducer and stuff, I know that I can get this type of structure. And I've done that with my smartphone, with a higher powered eyepiece. You can start to eke out this structure. It's a pretty faint central star, 6.5 or 6.4 thousand light years away. But this is a really beauty. It has a lot to offer for different sizes of scopes and different instrumentation, both from a visual and an imaging perspective. So it's a nice little gem, like the name says. And the other thing that kind of teased me, just since it's right in the nearby vicinity, just so you guys all know, there's this thing called Barnard's Galaxy, just to the south of the Little Gem. And this is a good test for dark sky, because I can tell you, I haven't done an image of this one yet, but it didn't make my cut. It seems to be quite bright. Like if you click on it, magnitude 9.3, but it's a really tough one because it's so spread out. It's huge, but it's like a little, it's like a LMC
galaxy or
SM.
something.
It's a little satellite galaxy. So let's take a look at it. And yeah, see, it's a satellite. It's only 1.6 million light years away. Actually, that puts it kind of closer to Andromeda, like Andromeda distance. I think Andromeda Galaxy is 2.2 million light years away, right?
Right. Yeah, and this is 7,000 something.
This is a bit further out. So yeah, 1.6 million light years away. So it's a satellite. It's a dwarf galaxy, and far, far away.
Now, what is the NGC number on this one?
NGC 6822.
6822. So this is in our galaxy. It's a, it's like
it's
the
one of the
Small
close. No,
Magellanic Cloud.
I thought so. But it's not. If you look at this, it's 1.6 million light years away, so it's a bit further away. If I look at the large and small Magellanic Clouds, let's zoom back out here. Turn off the horizon. Put on the equatorial.
Oh, I see. I
go
get
down
it.
to the side.
I get it. So it's a bar irregular.
Just out of curiosity, let's see how far they are.
It just looks like, you know, a satellite galaxy to ours.
It does look like us. Yeah, this one, you see, this is hundreds of thousands of light years away. So 160,000 light years. The LMC is 160,000 light years.
Okay, got it.
So it's, so it's, but you're right. I was thinking the same thing as you, Scott. Initially, I was thinking, oh, you know, it's going to be like a little companion galaxy, but
yeah, that's
it's kind of orphaned.
Right.
But yeah, it's kind of a fun one. You know, if you're in the dark skies, it's a good test to check kind of border conditions. If you have that, since it's right by the little gem, it's a nice little one to kind of pop down, and if you get a chance to take a look at it, that would look really cool. Or with a wide field scope, if you're dark enough skies, for sure you can see both in the same field of view. So yeah, so that's basically that's it for this week, and then just a little teaser for imaging. What I've done is I just wanted to highlight. I took some pictures with the moon, and I shared this on the Star Party last night, and to be able to take pictures like this with 10-second stacks, right, with a 3/4 full moon. These are my new flats, so you can see that it's flat is good, but you can see these streaks across. These streaks are because of the line noise on the amplifier on the on the CMOS sensor. That can be removed with some processing, but to be able to get this type of detail with just 10-second with a filter in only 20 degrees off the horizon for me, with the light glow, moon glow, everything, it's pretty impressive. So this is a good thing for everyone. And then imagine if you use like even narrowband filters, like an H beta or oxygen 3 or sulfur 2 or one of those tri-band filters that are only like 6-7 nanometer bandwidth bandpass. You can even do even a more impressive imaging. So the good part is low-hanging fruit. You can get access to this with fairly basic equipment, and you just have to learn the technique. So all the experience that we're talking about on the show, and your own visual experience and learning about imaging trains and all that, you can start to get these and have the really rewarding experience yourself. So this is just the Eagle Nebula. This is the Lagoon Nebula. Look at how nice this turned out. If you ignore these bands here, the nebulosity just came out just gorgeous, just with a UHC filter. And I could never have a hope to see this visually, even in a large telescope. So this is just an 8-inch, and I want to do the same thing, by the way. When I get my ED80 and my TMCA Xs2 mount, I'm going to do the same type of shots, which will include the Lagoon and the Trifid Nebula with the UHC filter. But I'll have to take longer exposures, hence the equatorial mount, right? This is only with 10-second exposures with an Altaz evolution mount. But imagine if I had a wide field, take the same type of shot, except with a larger field of view. Wouldn't that be nice? Like if I just to show you what I could do, I zoom over here. This is the shot, of course, I took with my 8-inch. And this is the field of view. You can see how it's framed up there. But now let me turn on an ED80. Let me just turn on the ED80 just as a comparison so you can see. Let's go. Okay, so here we go. 80 millimeter with 294. 2.29 degrees. It's a 4/3 sensor. So, you know, if, with a larger sensor, of course, you can get a larger field. But look at how big that field of view is.
Yeah.
And if I just zoom, if I rotate it, let me do that. I can actually get both of these guys. Oops, sorry, not that one. Go ahead and observe. Oops. Yeah, what's going on? I gotta move this thing out of the way. There we go. There's a little bit of delay, sorry for that. Okay, so if I go here, see field rotation angle. So if I rotate it by 90 degrees, look at that. You can really nicely frame both the Lagoon and the Trifid Nebula with the ED80. So with the equatorial mount, I can take a longer, let's say, you know, it's 80 millimeter compared to an 8-inch, right? So you're going to have what 1/6 the light gathering power? What's the ratio roughly? What do you think, Scott? Between an 8-inch and an 80 millimeter in terms of light gathering power.
Oh, geez. Just
off the
right
top
off
of your head.
Hundreds of times more.
It's gonna,
yeah,
it's gonna be
pi r square. You know, you match it up against your full. I mean, if you really do it right, fully dilated pupil of your eye, and then you can get it dialed in. But there might be here. I might be able to pull together some quick numbers here for you.
Yeah, but let's say it's 10 times. So let's say I would need to take 10 times the exposure. So instead of 10 seconds, I would have to take 100 seconds, right? So let's say 2 minutes. 2 minutes to get the same photographically. Let's say I just, you know, just off the cuff, right? And we can calculate it later, but let's say that. So, you know, now 2 minutes isn't too bad. Like 2 minutes to be able to take a nice wide field shot like that, get both of those objects in. 2 minutes stacked, and of course that's a single stack. But you start to do that, you can all of a sudden you can get images like this, and you know, combine this guy with the Trifid Nebula, and you'll have a beautiful wide field shot with a smaller telescope. So very you know, this is the kind of building blocks you want to have. And then depending on what gear equipment you have, you can do the formula, and then basically you know, get your imaging to match. So depending on what equipment you have. So then continuing along, you know, this is the Bubble Nebula. I also have parts of the Abel Nebula. All these were 10-second. Some of these were actually 30-second. Sorry, stacks. I wanted to show you this one here. This is the Elephant Trunk Nebula. So between the Cocoon Nebula and the Elephant Trunk Nebula, you can see this is really elusive. This is begging for more exposure, but just the fact that I can actually get this, you absolutely need a filter to be able to pick out this contrast on this boundary here. Is amazing, because there's no way you can see this visually, and with light polluted skies, you don't have a chance. But it's nice to be able to pick out these things with your to extend your capabilities in your vision with your imaging system. So it starts to expand your horizons and what's within your reach. So yeah. I just wanted to share that with you guys. So
and that number of how much brighter is 8-inch Cassegrain versus your eye, it's about 1,600 times brighter. So you can see roughly 2,000 times more stars than you can with the unaided eye. So your number goes way up. Photographically, your exposure time, it's not a direct, you know, where you calculate how many seconds of exposure it is. So it is quite a bit brighter. Now that versus an 80, I would say that you're probably going from, I don't know, 400 times brighter than the human eye to 1,600 times brighter, something like that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Thanks, Scott. So it's about 4 times. So you have about 4 times the area, let's say, right, of optics.
Roughly, yeah.
Roughly. So that's because that's your aperture that you're bringing in, your light gathering bucket, if you will. And so that means you need to have 4 times the duration. So instead of a 10-second, you can get away with a 40-second, for example, right? And get the same equivalent results. So pretty darn good, you know, to be able to get.
The difference between stars, though, because they're point sources of light, they burn in, they will create an exposure literally, and even on film. Let's forget about digital, okay? Even on film, a star of a certain brightness will burn in literally in under 2 seconds of exposure time, okay? While nebula, because it's extended, you know, and galaxies are extended, that's where you need more exposure time to bring those up, you know, so, but this is why guiding is such a big deal when you're making astrophotographs, because if your exposure time was super long to capture the star, it wouldn't capture all of the guiding errors that you might have. Okay, so, you know, you can literally be making an astrophotographs and somebody just tapped the telescope, and that 1 or 2 second vibration is enough to make your stars look bad. So,
yeah, and actually on that note, Scott, thanks. That's what I see with the what do you call it, with wind gusts. So what will happen is, let's say I'm taking a picture, like I was trying to take a picture of the Lagoon Nebula, and I have so many pictures where I'd be on my 6th stack of 30 seconds, and like you said, a little gust of wind, and the stars would speak. The nebulosity would actually be fine, to your point.
Exactly, right?
But
so if you didn't have
stars would be
stars, you just had nebula that you were photographing,
it would be fine.
Be bothered so much. So.
Exactly. So that's exactly right. So it's really neat, and that you'll see that also with galaxies. You'll take a picture and you'll see star trails, and you'll see there's clearly a galaxy there, and you see a smudge, and it comes out very, you know, pretty clear, but the stars will be trailed, and it's like, oh my gosh, you know. Yeah. So that's a very good tip, and what I'll say for Friday, what I was thinking is for the astrophotography thing with Chuck and Ross and team. One thing I wanted to, first of all, I wanted to make a shout out. I do owe a lot of gratitude to Jeff Weiss for helping with the flats. I just wanted to call him out again.
Yeah,
he's really helped me tremendously on kind of getting on the right path with the flats. So I just wanted to mention that. And with his inspiration, that's helped me find my own way as well to kind of optimize and kind of take best practices. But I on Friday, I want to start looking, because as you can see with a lot of these images, I'm having these streaks. So sure, I've solved the flat issue, but I haven't solved the noise issue here. And I'm wondering, you know, I'm working with an uncooled camera, granted, but I'm playing around with putting the CCD inside of a refrigerator to cool it down. But I think actually that made it worse. But we'll get to that on Friday. I want to talk about that because I think that I actually want to heat up my sensor, get the noise out, and then take all my bias frames with a hot sensor. Just my opinion right now, but we'll test this. More discussions to be had, but I'll leave it like that, and look forward to continuing this journey. So the only thing I'll say now, for next week on Camstronomy 11 is if we go do the to this guy. Let me fix my sensitization here, and then go back out. I'm going to turn off my 8080 for now. Okay, now let's zoom back. Okay, so we finished up. Now we're finished as Sagittarius. And so we have several ways we can go. I haven't yet decided. I have all the images. I just need to organize them. But we can go into Aquila, right? Go up the Milky Way, up this way, Aquila, Sagitta, Vulpecula, Delphinus. Or we can go from Lyra, because I stopped, as you remember, way back, I was in Hercules, and then I decided to go south into Ophiuchus and those guys. But now we can continue from Lyra and then go and start to bite into Cygnus. Cygnus has a lot of stuff. So Cygnus is going to take a couple of sessions, but so I'm deciding on that, but it's going to either be starting with Lyra or Aquila next week. So that's where we are today.
Great.
Well, thanks, everyone.
Great.
And have
Thank
a good
you,
one.
Cameron. Yeah, I feel like I'm, being led by a guide through, the wilderness of the universe. So it's so cool. It's so cool. There's so many trails
That's awesome.
to take,
That's awesome.
So it is wonderful.
Yes.
All right. So we are, we'll wrap up this program. I want to give Wade Prunty, who drove all the way from Dallas to present this beautiful, image of the Eagle Nebula that they made with an Explorer Scientific 102 Apo, he and his students. And so that was just totally cool. And it's great to hear stories about how excited that they can get in learning science and astronomy. Wade, good job. So coming up at 7 o'clock here, Central Time, will be Caitlin Ahrens, and she will be introducing Professor Abel Mendez. And Abel Mendez was like one of the guys that headed up, Arecibo Observatory. He's an astrobiologist, so it'll be real interesting to hear from him. As many of you know, that Arecibo became damaged and was declared, unfixable. So we'll learn more about that this evening. And until that time, keep looking up. And Cameron, thanks very much.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you, Scott. Awesome stuff. It's fun.
Bye-bye.